Hey, it's Austin James. If you're like me, trying to live your best life while living with diabetes, you can relate to worrying if you're doing a good job managing your diabetes. I use the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor to get real-time glucose readings and see the impact of every meal and activity to make better decisions. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor can help me live life with diabetes on my own terms, and it gives me more time for the things I love, like being a dad and a musician. Now this is progress. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special, Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, premieres November 22nd, streaming on Hulu.
Ask me, ask Iliza anything. It's time to ask. Ask me all your questions. Leave them in the Instagram comment section. Leave them on your Twitter or leave them on your Facebook. We'll see them, we'll read them, then we'll give you answers. You know it, I've got it. I've got the answer. You ask me. I'll tell you anything. To ask Iliza anything. So a lot of people take their podcasts as an opportunity to reveal personal things or gossip or, give out opinions that they wouldn't give out otherwise. And so I always like to keep things light and, we try to touch on social things. But I've decided to take today's podcast, and of course we're going to answer questions because that's what the sponsors pay for, to share something personal that happened to me. So about what I thought was 8 weeks ago, I found out that I was pregnant, and it was very planned. When you're married at 37, you tend to, try for these things. We're very excited, and there's a reason, that you don't tell people these things because it's very touch and go, especially the older that you get. And I went for the first checkup at I think it was like 4 to 6 weeks. And I heard the heartbeat, and it was very exciting. And we only told a couple friends and close family. And then I went back at around 10 weeks to get my second checkup. And I had to change doctors. I had a doctor, my gynecologist that I've had since I was like 25, and I loved her, but she was out of network. And surprise, surprise, having a baby is very expensive. And surprise, surprise, like nobody cares about women's health. So I had to go in network, which is fine. I'm forced to pay a lot of money to belong to 2 guilds that have a very specific health plan. So fine. So I changed doctors. And from the second I walked into this doctor's office, I just had a weird vibe. The building is just kind of like a crappy building, but it's LA. Most buildings are crappy. And I walk in, I was like, hi, I'm here to see the doctor. And the receptionist was like, okay, go over there, get a urine sample. At the nice doctor's office, you give a urine sample. The label is already on the thing. You put it in, you pee and you put it in a little secret hobbit door and you're done. This place, I walk in, there's like an errant pen sitting on the counter. You're supposed to label your own urine. There were no blinds on the window. And even though we were like several feet above what turned out to be the view of a parking lot and a phone pole, I just thought it was a little weird, but okay. It's Corona. We're all trying to get through stuff. I walk out holding my own urine and I say to the receptionist, am I to just continue holding my own urine in my hand? Do I put it somewhere? She didn't even make eye contact. She was like, oh, go over there. And I was like, I'm sorry, over where? Here I am. I'm pregnant. It's a new doctor's office. You're looking for a little, not even sympathy, just compassion, a little TLC. And this nurse was in another room. She goes, come here. And I'm like, okay. This nurse is wearing a necklace with an AK-47 charm on it. Not illegal, it's just unacceptable. That is, I don't care who you are or where you're from. An AK-47 is a symbol of death. And we are trying to celebrate life here in an OBGYN's office. But okay, if she was awesome, I probably still would have been like, I hate that, but whatever. And I say to her, what do I do with this urine? She's like, just set it down. I'm like, set it down where? It was just very weird. There was no real eye contact. She's like, let me take your blood pressure. I'm like, okay. So I sit down with my legs crossed, not thinking, and I'm texting. She reads my blood pressure. It comes back with an error. And I look at her and I said, am I supposed to uncross my legs? She was like, okay, sure. Like it was just the weirdest sort of disconnect of a process. So I'm starting to get frustrated because here I am, I'm pregnant, I'm nervous. It's only my second visit ever. It's a new doctor. I'm not near my doctor that I'm very used to and her staff. So I just decide, you know what, I'm not going to give this any energy. And I just go back to my phone. She's like, the doctor will be in a moment. And then she just leaves. I'm like, okay. The doctor comes in, a doctor who's had a lot of great reviews. And I say to her in a very me way, I was like, hi, I'm sorry. Did I do something? Your staff, it seems like they don't, connect with people. I'm just walking around with my own piss in a cup through your lobby. And she was like, you know what? It's Corona. We're trying to keep people. It felt very much like she was really wanted to defend her staff. And I didn't say the staff was bad. I'm just like, there's an AK-47 off of her necklace. This just all feels. And I think the doctor, who was very nice, was kind of like, we are women helping women and we're doing the best we can. I'm like, totally. But I think customer feedback is important. The point is, it was all very humbling because I'm sitting there just saying, I don't know you or this doctor's office and it feels a little uncomfortable. She's like, okay. And I leaned back to get my sonogram and she was like, this baby is measuring very small and there's no heartbeat. So from a comedic point of view, it's like, I don't like your staff. She's like, cool, your baby's dead. So it was super humbling. But she told me that, and here I've been carrying this baby, taking every precaution, doing everything, and it had been dead for 2 weeks. Meaning shortly after that first visit, when I heard the heartbeat, and I nicknamed it Mango, because we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, but we knew that it was a Chris Kattan character. No, shortly after my first visit, the fetus had died. And so she's measuring it and she's like, it's very small. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just eat more. And she's like, I don't hear a heartbeat. So of course you kind of just go numb. And then I'm like, oh my God, I just read this woman the riot act because her staff was shitty, but now the baby. So she said, but let's double check. I'm going to send you to a specialist. I'm like, okay. She was like, he's just down the street. Here's the address. You can drive or walk. And I said, okay, I'll just walk. Because Emily was waiting in the car for me somewhere, but I didn't know how to process anything. So I'm walking down a street in Hollywood, just dripping tears through my giant Lou Wasserman sunglasses and into my mask. And I arrive. And what was weird was before I went, she said, you know what? Let's get a second opinion and let's take care of you first. And the let's take care of you is something that I clung to as something comforting, but really was a totally empty gesture. And here's why. So I get to this new specialist. Nice office. I'm not one of those women that looks at other women and their children and feels like the universe is rubbing it in my face. It does add a little insult to injury to be crying under a mask and sunglasses, and there's already people there in the office. It's just weird how some waiting rooms have people and some don't. Some do social distancing, some don't. And they're there with their children. So I'm sitting there listening to these kids scream and you're like, oh God. And I can't really call anyone because there's no service in the hospital. And I don't want people to see that I'm crying because I don't know them. So I'm just snot crying into this mask. I arrive and the first thing they want me to do is fill out paperwork. And I'm thinking, why? If it's all within network, surely there's some sort of, World Wide Web where all of this should be accessible because we're all in the same network with the same insurance in the same hospital group. So the first question they ask me, which is the first question they asked me at the original doctor's office is, first date of your last period, date of birth. So you give it to them. Everybody wants to know the first date of your last period. It's just, even though it's been written down several times, you've told several people, it's in every file. First date of last period, date of birth. And then I have to give my credit card. So you're doing all of these perfunctory administrative things and all you want to do is crawl into a hole. They take my paperwork, they scan my insurance card, not credit card. They scan my insurance card. Again, wouldn't be here if I didn't have the insurance. Okay. Finally, the doctor calls me in. I always thought it'd be weird to have a male. He's not a gynecologist, but a male specialist. Oh my God, it turns out I went to the shoe shine guy. It was the wrong office. But in that moment, it wasn't. And he confirmed that there's no heartbeat. So in that moment too, it's also interesting because I'm like, you know what? Don't care if it's a guy or a girl, as long as somebody does a good job. Anyway, so he confirms and I'm crying. And I'm crying so hard that he says, if you want to take your mask off, it's okay. So I take my mask off and it's the kind of crying that I haven't had since I was little, where you're like, oh, I can't yet. Oh, we're breakup crying. I'm crying because it's, you had all these thoughts. As careful as you were, you still had all these thoughts about, I don't have to explain to you why it's sad to lose a baby. Anyway, or a fetus or a collection of cells or whatever you want to call it. And so I say, of course, naturally, was it something I did? And he looks at me and he says, why don't you get dressed and come see me in my office? And I'm like, oh my God, I have cancer. He's going to tell me I have like Jurassic Park HIV or something. And this is where he doesn't want to tell me I'm dying with my pants off. So I get dressed and I go in his office, and he very sweetly said, I just wanted to have a moment with you to look you in the eye to tell you that you did nothing wrong. This is a chromosomal thing. Your body, it's just nature. Your body knows to get rid of it. And then he said, better to see you now than 3 months from now, which is totally fair. Noah had a joke about how people always find that silver lining about like, it's better you lost it now versus later, but nobody's ever like, it would probably be best if you lost the baby, given that it's a pandemic. Nobody ever, in a perfunctory way says in the future, it's better if you lose it. Anyway, but he was right. I'd rather be less attached when it happens. And I said, well, why didn't my body get rid of it? Why didn't I have a miscarriage? And he said, just so you know, miscarriages are totally normal. And I said, I know, it's 1 out of every 4 women. And he said, it's actually 1 out of every 3. So weirdly, I pride myself on being an individual, but knowing that I am no different than the majority of women out there was very comforting. It's not a weird thing. It's not something I did. It's not some medical abnormality. It's just extremely normal. And then he said to me, and I said, well, how come my body didn't get rid of it? And he said, I don't know. It's called a missed miscarriage, meaning your body missed the signal to get rid of it. And so I said, what do I do? And he said, well, let's take care of you first. And he said, there's 2 ways to do it. You can take a pill that will force your body to miscarry. And it's interesting that he even asked that, because just that morning I was reading about how Senator Ted Cruz was rallying against a pill that would do that. And I, having no information about miscarriages, thinking I was pregnant, wrote an impassioned tweet about how, you're just limiting women's options and that pill should be legal. But I didn't want to take the pill because I don't know what a miscarriage looks like or feels like, and I didn't want to go through that at home. And he said, or you can get something called a DNC, informally known as a dusting and cleaning, which apparently is an acronym that every woman knew about but me prior to the visit. And a DNC, and all the nurses listening are like, we know what it is. We do it all day. It's basically where they go in and they clean out your uterus. And it's a procedure and it's an outpatient thing, but you got to go in and do it. And he said, if you were my daughter, we would do a DNC. And so I said, okay, let's do it. And he was like, okay, I got to refer you back to your original doctor, the one with the AK-47 nurse, to get you an appointment. I was done really crying about the loss of the baby at that point. It hurt. It's normal. It's to be expected. Of course, we all think we're special. It's not going to happen. But that's what started the trauma of everything, was the insult to injury of spending the next 5 hours, Emily going back and forth with the nurse's office while they attempted to contact the one doctor that they know, that they work with, that does this procedure. 5 hours later of sitting at home, just pounding coffee because I could have as much as I wanted now. And they're like, okay, we got you in for Friday. It was Tuesday. And they meant Friday of the next week. What? Oh, you're here. Thursday for a consultation.
No, it was Wednesday, right? But it wasn't Tuesday talking about Friday. It was Thursday talking about the following
week.
Or so Wednesday talking about the following week. Yeah.
Here they're saying, you've lost your baby and we're going to need you to, and even though your body's held on to it, I know you're thinking like, oh, what's 1 more week? It's extremely traumatic to tell a woman the baby inside you is dead and we need you to hold on to it for a full over another week, just because we really only called the one doctor that we work with. And I just thought to myself, I don't know how a woman without connections, a woman who maybe doesn't have the greatest insurance or any insurance, I don't know how they deal with this. I called the specialist, who of course now was out of the office. I got a hold of their after hours nurse. And of course, as a woman, you're constantly having to reveal more information. Their concierge service picked up. And I said, I'm trying to get a hold of Dr. So-and-so. Oh, he's out of the office. What is this in regard to? I'm like, none of your fucking business. You're like a Securitas worker who's just taking a memo. I'm not going to, what do you want me to say? My fetus died? Like, who the fuck are you? I get a hold of his after hours nurse who calls his receptionist. She calls me back and she says, I remember you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. And that was the first person to say that to me all day. And she was like, let me call our doctors that we work with and try to get you a quicker appointment. In the meantime, I called my personal physician, who is a friend of mine, and I told her about the horrible experience. And she said, that's absolutely unacceptable. And she made a call and ended up getting me in with a fantastic OBGYN who took me that week. And it's not about, oh, you're a celebrity. It really was just about me being tenacious and not accepting no for an answer. It was a holiday weekend. But here, my original doctor, who obviously didn't have the best staff, was just very willing to be like, look, we only called the one and they don't work Wednesday, so we got you in Thursday. And you can't go in for a DNC day of. You've got to go for a consult. Even though 2 doctors had confirmed the baby was dead, you still have to go in. So I did. We got it taken care of. And I'm sharing this with you. I don't want your pity. I feel absolutely fine. But I just want to share it because I started talking on stage when I thought I was pregnant, and even before I was pregnant, about how when you ask a woman, you know, are you thinking of having a kid? People don't realize how loaded that can be. And it's okay to ask, and it's a normal thing to ask, but most women aren't going to want to share this. But what I found to be so beautiful was the bonding. When I was pregnant, I was able to bond with strange women, just random women who have had children, and that was very beautiful. But even in losing it, the amount of women that are like, oh, I've had several. And it was just like a new chapter in my journey as a woman. And of course, if you don't have a miscarriage, that's great too. And if you don't have kids, that's okay too. It was just another avenue, a way in which to bond with women. And having the procedure, it's of course the fear itself is the whole thing. They give you a pill the night before that softens your uterus. I didn't know that it was going to give me contractions. So I woke up at 1 a.m., horrible cramps, bleeding, thinking to myself like, oh, maybe I'll just pass it on my own. I didn't. But the actual DNC itself takes under 60 seconds. But you've got to go in, got to take your vitals. They give you a drug, which was super fun. And they were like, if you bleed even more, like during the procedure, if something's going wrong, we'll give you oh God, what's it called? What's the propofol? And I was like, ooh, that's the Michael Jackson drug. And I thought, oh, please have a complication so I could have some propofol. But I didn't. I woke up that night, I drank and ate sushi. And to my husband's credit, the moment I found out I lost the baby, he was in Texas, and I called him, of course, crying. And he was very, it's sad. He was coming home the next morning. He caught a flight. From that evening, came home and arrived home with sushi and wine, which I just thought, like, what a guy. The bad news is you lost the baby. The good news is you can go back to all the vices that you had before, at least for a little bit. So I'm totally fine. I'm not, and I didn't post about it because it's my story to tell. It's my thing to put in the act. And I didn't feel like dealing with people being like, oh, you're pro-choice. Good thing you lost the baby. I just didn't feel like idiots dealing with it, dealing with them and their comments. So that's what happened to me. It's also not that rare, and it's not that special. It's traumatic because it happened, but I've spoken to so many women, and it's like going to the dry cleaners. Like, oh yeah, I had a DNC. Oh yeah, I had a couple miscarriages. So it's something that does bond women. I'm totally okay. The second the procedure's over, I didn't have any cramps. Other than the fact that I couldn't work out for 2 or 3 days. So I was just like so bored. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm not sad about it, onward and upward, but I wanted to share that because it is something I will talk about, and I'm going to use it as a chance to just make sure that other women don't feel so bad, because there's nothing to be ashamed about. And in the back of my head, I was like, I tend to lean on the counter when I do my work, and I eat a lot of candy, and they're like, it had nothing to do with that. Emily was also very sweet when I got in the car, and I was like, I lost the baby. She was like, okay. Do you want to hear the ABBA soundtrack?
No, it's Cher doing covers of ABBA.
Cher, excuse me. The most important note.
So that's your bottom of the cob.
That's my bottom of the cob, is losing a baby. But I'm fine. It's fine. And truthfully, your journey on the way to motherhood or not being a mother, it's totally personal, totally yours. And I will only speak about it when I feel like speaking about it. Yeah, turns out I'm totally normal.
But also, guess what? If you submit a question asking when they're going to have babies, I'm never going to ask Iliza that question. Yeah. So many people are like, when do you think you're going to start a family? We're not answering that.
Because
we're not telling you about our family.
I'm totally healthy and it's totally fine. And they were like, there's nothing else you need to do. But like when you ask someone, like, when are you going to have kids? And I've talked about this on stage, like, you don't know what that woman's going through. I only have one fibroid and I lost my ovary. Like, there's so many. Trust you asking is not going to help a woman have a baby. No one's going to be like, you know what? I should have a baby. Let me find an alley mattress. So whether you're me and you just lost one, or you have fertility issues, or you're adopting, or you're getting a surrogate, it's so complicated. It's so personal. And we're all out here just trying to not get pregnant, trying to get pregnant, trying to keep that baby, trying to have a normal baby. So no gender reveal party for me at the moment. But I'm cool.
Fall has fallen. Winter is on its way. The days are shorter. But just because, they feel shorter. And just because the days feel shorter doesn't mean your to-do list gets any shorter. You still have to power through your busy days. And a great way to do that is with nutritious food from Factor's no prep, no mess meals. At the end of a short day in the fall or the winter, the last thing you want to do is have to cook. Factor has got you covered from breakfast, snacks, dinner, anything in between. Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled, like their chicken Florentine with spinach and garlic chili cauliflower. You bet. That's what I want to make myself at the end of a day where I am exhausted and my husband isn't home. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add on, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. And because Factor meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals, even if your goal was just making yourself dinner. Head to factormeals.com/Iliza50 and use code Iliza50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Iliza50 at factormeals.com/Iliza50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. The holidays are here. And for a lot of us, the holidays mean decorating, hosting, celebrating. For me, it means a lot of traveling. And nothing feels better year-round, but especially during the cozy holidays, than a restful night's sleep in soft, luxurious sheets. Boll & Branch's signature sheets are made with the finest 100% organic cotton, and they get softer with every single wash. You already know that I got Boll & Branch this summer when I needed breathable sheets to sleep in, but this holiday season, I'm actually gifting some of my friends and family Boll & Branch's Ultimate Softness Bundle. I get to choose a signature hem sheet set in any color, a signature hem pillow set, and a waffle bed blanket. And they're all getting juniper because I think it's a classy color. This way you know you have something nice to sleep on when you visit. It's the perfect gift for you and them. Gift you and your loved ones a better night's sleep with Boll & Branch. And right now is their best offer of the entire year. For 25% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets, head to bollandbranch.com/Iliza. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Iliza for 25% off. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details. So finally, fall is here. I have been looking forward to it. I have had a hard year in a good way. I had a baby. I have been on a nonstop tour, nonstop traveling, and it's been hot. So I'm looking forward to, of course, pumpkin spice, everything, cooler weather, and slipping into a cozy sweater from Quince. I've talked about Quince before. Quince has beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Dressing expensive doesn't have to be expensive. Their clothing is beautiful, it's durable, it stands the test of time, and it's what I like to call a capsule wardrobe. I got an Italian wool cocoon coat. That's one of those, it's got like a European collar and it covers my butt so I can walk around New York City and not be chilly. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/Iliza for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Iliza to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Iliza.
You just want to get right into questions?
Well, I'm fine. Honestly, someone called, they're like, I know you're trying to act tough. I am tough. I cried my eyes out. I didn't share it on social media because there's a fine line between being vulnerable and seeking attention. And I just never want we're all trying to get attention. We're on social media, but I think there's an art to it. And I didn't want to post a picture of me in the hospital, like everything's fine, like knowing, but I do need to commune with people. I do need to share stuff. I do need to express myself as an artist. So the post that night where I was playing Mexican train dominoes, I had to say something and I didn't want it to be veiled or coded. So I was like, I'm fine. Here's a little anecdote about being at the doctor's office. It could have been anything. But interestingly enough, a lot of the comments from women were so compassionate. In my heart, I was like, these women know. They know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't that many medical things that you don't
wouldn't
just
share.
tell people. You'd be like, I broke my arm.
Yeah, it either has to do with your butt or your vagina. Other than that, you tell everyone.
What do you mean your butt? Like something bad came out of there?
Yeah, and I even shared
or something bad went in there.
Either way, and I shared about Kashi. So clearly, and
that has really sparked a lot of people saying "Me Too."
A revolution. Hashtag Me Too, Kashi.
Just like
Me Too butt edition.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm fine. Thoughts and prayers. And kick it. Right? Kick it.
Yeah.
I'm eating. I'm not a big sushi eater anymore because Blanche died while we were in Japan and it's really bad for the ocean. We did get responsible, stably sourced sushi, sustainable sushi. But
shelf stable, sustainable.
I don't even like wine. We've been drinking wine every night. I don't give a fuck. I'm chugging coffee. I even get weird after a cup. I'm like, I'm gonna get it in while I can.
You had 2 cups today.
I'm still taking the prenatal vitamins because my nails look amazing. Okay, kick it.
All right. Hi, Iliza.
I'm getting massages on my belly. I'm getting my neck cracked. I'm doing everything. All right, I'm ready.
All right. Not sure if you've
Mosh pits.
tackled the issue yet on the pod, but I have a dilemma. A friend of mine has been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and swindled.
Are we allowed to say bamboozled?
Yes.
Okay.
Into joining an essential oil MLM called Young Living.
Yeah. I watched the documentary.
I can't believe she fell for this, but she is a new mom, and MLMs prey on new moms by
Rub
promising.
it in. Rub it. Oh my God. Just kidding. Go ahead.
By promising financial freedom and basically claiming that if you don't use their all-natural products, you're a bad mommy. I tried to be open-minded, but after one Google search, I mean, you would be surprised. I see a lot of, because I subscribe to the anti-MLM subreddit.
I ate a lot of candy and I lost my fetus, so maybe there was something to that. I'm kidding, folks.
Prey on new moms by promising financial freedom, basically claiming that if you don't use their all-natural products, you're a bad mommy. I tried to be open-minded, but after one Google search, I found out that the guy who started this business was up to some shady shit, pretending to be a doctor and accidentally drowning his own daughter during childbirth, for starters. I used to look up to this friend so much. She's a 4-year-old. She's 4 years older than me.
Yeah. In the documentary, I think they talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is the last person I ever thought would fall for an MLM. Thankfully, she isn't annoying about it, has never asked me to buy things, just said she wants to make me a little sample to try, asked me to join a Zoom meeting once, which I lied and said I was busy. She has an Instagram that I follow, but that is the extent of my support of this absolute fuckery. My question is, am I a shitty friend for not buying things from her? I don't even use essential oils, but they also sell other shit like makeup, household cleaning products, etc. They say when your friend has a business, you should support that business, but it's not a business, it's an MLM. I am extremely against them, but can't help but feel like she's disappointed that I'm not supporting her. She drank the Kool-Aid, is totally brainwashed into believing she will one day pay cash for her child's tuition and own a multi-million-dollar house. What would you do? Actively avoid or bite the bullet at once and try and support her? I literally am not interested in a single overpriced product. It would just be to support her. One more little bit, more context. Another friend and I are basically a trio with this girl because we all met at the same side job during our early 20s. Me and this other friend live about 40 minutes from her now, meet up for girls' night every few months. So I'm not in constant contact with this person. So she's easy to avoid. Ending the friendship or trying to talk her out of this is not an option. Sincerely, how are people still falling for pyramid schemes?
I think a lot of people fall for these things, and I think there's nothing wrong with being industrious. And by the way, they do dangle that carrot of like, you could be the woman making all this money if you hustled. A big problem with these types of schemes is that there's so many people in your area that already sell it. Yeah. So nobody really wants it. Weirdly, one of my good friends loves Rodan and Fields, which is also an MLM. Mm-hmm. She like buys all their stuff and loves it. You know, it's a slippery slope because it's like, if you buy the one thing, will she be cool with that? You know, how much is she struggling? Is it she just wants some extra cash, it's like, okay, if I buy this $15 eucalyptus oil, is this really moving the needle either way? So it is more of the gesture. I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Like, it is an industrious thing that empowers mostly women. it is a total scam. If you really hate all the product, look, you need lip gloss. You're going to need soap. So maybe swap out one product to be like, look, I want to support you. And I support what you're doing. I just don't want to talk about it and do this one thing. I don't think it's the biggest deal if you buy one product. And kind of shame on her if she like keeps hawking you about it.
It sounds like she's not being annoying, but here's the thing that I wonder about, because
sounds like you're being annoying.
I am subscribed to the anti-MLM subreddit. And number one, the people, besides like the top tiers, people don't make any money. Like, it's not a good investment of your time. But I've seen a lot of people who will share with their friend, here are some statistics before their friend gets in too deep. So I wonder what sort of obligation this person has to their friend to be like, heads up, like you're going to lose money.
I think you, in the vein of being like, look, I'm trying to be a good friend. I hope, because I know they make you buy the products right up top, which is really how they make their money also. If she's in deep, if she's really drank the Kool-Aid, if there's no turning back, so you buy one product.
Can you buy one and let her know, like, I'm happy to support you, but I'm concerned for you because of these reasons? If you go to reddit.com/r/anti-MLM, there's a lot of great resources. I have seen people where they've been messaged and they've gone, oh, I didn't realize like how much
Send her a link to the Netflix documentary Unwell, even though it's a really boring documentary. They do something about the essential oil game. Mm-hmm. Just maybe on her own, she realizes she's a cog. But, here, she might be really scared. Maybe she needs that money and I don't have all the pieces to this.
Right.
It's not the end of the world if you buy one product and be like, I'm doing this to support you. And we're done.
Here's what I'll tell you. There's also a Reddit called Beer Money, reddit.com/r/beer money.
Nope,
but
stop.
here's the reason that I say
keep
this.
talking through me. Nobody is writing down the Reddit thread that you're saying. These are not Reddit people.
But here's the thing. There's a lot of compiled resources there of surveys you can take online. I've taken surveys that have given me like $70 Amazon dollars, like focus groups.
Am I in the wrong job?
No, it's focus groups and stuff, product testing. Like, there are other things she could put her time into that would get her money more easily than this. Like, there are better online at-home solutions.
There are also other jobs you can do that don't involve buying something up front.
Yes. Never do a job where you have to pay money up front.
I don't know her situation. I don't know her. I don't know her constitution. I don't know how smart she is. I don't know if you're the type of friend that she would want to hear that from. It's all these things. I say at the end of the day, you buy a soap, you be done with it, and then she let her sink. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because also, I've definitely had, unrelated to MLM, like I've had friends that are like, I had a friend who was like, I'm into stand-up now. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to stand in your way. And I hope you do well. And they gave it up like 3 months later. Things have a way of getting into people's heads. And because they're not succeeding, people want, especially in America, we're so promised instant success that she'll probably drop it. Like, the writing on the wall will reveal itself and she'll probably stop if she's not doing well. I hope she does do well.
She's not going to.
Okay.
It's going to be a money suck.
Money suck.
I've noticed that, at least since I've had my babies, that I smell differently when I sweat. Maybe I'm just like getting older. I don't know, but I smell differently. And I don't love that. If I'm on set or if I'm on stage or if I'm doing anything like functioning in public and I don't want sweat stains or to be aware of my stinky pits, that's when I turn to Lumi whole body deodorant because it keeps me smelling fresh all day. Lumi is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, under boobs, right ladies, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, your feet. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. How? Well, unlike certain traditional deodorants that may try to mask odor with a fragrance, Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. If you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack. Use code Iliza for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code Iliza at LumiDeodorant.com.
A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special, Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, premieres November 22nd. streaming on Hulu.
Anonymous, hey Eliza, my grandma passed away 9 months ago after battling dementia for many years.
Oh, it's kind of better than, Iliza, the 9 months versus just the 2.
Caring for her.
That's just a fetus joke. I'm cool.
Caring for her through this struggle was very hard on my grandpa. Towards the end of my grandma's illness, grandpa's old high school girlfriend looked him up and started visiting him.
Toward the end of my grandma's illness,
her grandpa's old girlfriend
looked him up because she smelled blood in the water. Mm-hmm.
Even though grandma couldn't remember or articulate much at this point, she was still very hurt seeing another woman sneaking over to visit him outside and hugging him goodbye when she left. Now that grandma has passed, grandpa has been trying to spend more time with this woman. However, we've learned that this woman is still married and is nursing her husband through leukemia.
Yeah.
Of course, no one in the family wants to support grandpa in dating a woman who is married to a man who needs her support right now, but grandpa is begging us to accept her, saying that she's the love of his life, though his wife of 55 years just passed. Grandpa isn't one to express his emotions, and we're afraid he's being manipulated by this woman in his grief, and that she may only be interested in his money. Even more, grandpa has started moving her things into his house where he lives with his son, daughter-in-law, and 3 grandsons against everyone's will. Apparently, this woman is divorcing her sick husband for my grandpa now. My mother and her siblings don't even want to speak to him at this point. Should we do more to try and stop what's happening, or how do we keep this event from tearing our family apart, even though no one is about to accept this woman in with open arms?
I get it. Are they living in grandpa's house, or is grandpa living in their house?
That's an important question.
Because if they're living in his house, that's kind of gross. That's a lot of people to be depending on grandpa. I don't know how much money he has. It could be like an IRA that he's going to cash in. My mother, when she was a guest on our podcast, sort of addressed a similar thing. And I think she talked about her own dad and how, older men they're always remarried immediately. Women are like, I'm just mourning his loss for 80 years. It just has to do with, older men kind of needing someone and how it kind of makes them feel good again and stuff like that. I would look a little bit deeper into this. Does your grandpa actually have money? What is she really after? The fact that her husband is dying, like people, especially when they're older, you don't have a lot of time. The fact that he's calling the love of his life, I don't know. The money thing I would look at. Because it doesn't seem like he has really a ton of money if he's living with his kids.
Right. Or are they living with him in his mansion? Right. I think you can't account for how someone is grieving, like grandpa connecting with the old high school girlfriend.
Totally
I don't love it, but it's, it is what it is. But bringing her in front of his wife who is dying of dementia is not okay. Like that's really disrespectful.
For sure. But you're saying she has dementia and couldn't articulate anything. And you're like, but she was hurt. And you're like, was she, or were you hurt for her?
I mean, but either way, it's like to bring the woman there in front of her is not cool.
Maybe they had a talk. Maybe in a moment of her being lucid, she was like, look, it actually doesn't matter because she's dead now. And your grandpa isn't. And if he's still active and able to do stuff and these people want to salvage what's left of their life, as long as he is not putting himself in any financial danger, and as long as this isn't, you're like, I want to get 30 grand when he dies. Maybe look at the paperwork. Who's in charge of his estate? Is there even an estate? It's always so easy to be like, that woman's a gold digger. Or they could just be two emotionally distraught people. So I think you need to look at it. I wouldn't begrudge your grandpa the chance to be with this woman. You also don't know about her husband. Like, he could be a dick. He could have been abusive. He could be on death's door, and she is grieving her way. So before we call her a gold digger, let's take a real look at those finances. If he's living with somebody else, like that's someone else's house, moving her stuff in is very weird.
Yeah.
I also wonder, is it really her stuff, or is it like a scarf? So this also sounds a little hyperbolic.
Yeah, get some more info. It's a tough situation for everyone. Hi, Eliza and Emily. I was listening to today's Pandemic Lap Dance episode, and I laughed out loud at the message from the Naval Academy with regards to Kashi Goleen Crunch. I'm a 2010 graduate of the United States Military Academy, and I have vivid memories of being served full-sized boxes of Kashi Goleen at breakfast. To add insult to butthole injury, we would also be served Arnold's double fiber bread on the same day during lunch. The aftermath of that day was almost always an intestinal crime scene, to the point that my friends and I started warning each other when it was double fiber day in the mess hall.
Kind of gives a new term meaning to lock and load.
I was on the crew team, and there were repeat fiber offenders in our 8-person boat, so it was more of a self-preservation warning than anything. Can't wait to get my hands on the Don't Panic Pantry cookbook, Whitney. Why are we so against our nation's military that we're feeding them?
I understand keeping them regular, and I can say this, like when you travel, like your poop cycle kind of gets off and you can be constipated, stuff like that. So I think, but just like the military regulating your body surreptitiously is really weird. But you got to keep it regular. You got, because there's sand going in, there's, bullet discharge. Sand going in. Desert storm. Kick it. You should have other options, non-fiber options.
But to serve that and the bread on the same day is an aggressive move.
Or people get stopped up in basic training. You got to get it through because nobody wants to hear, I'm constipated, I can't do basic training, sir. No way.
Hi, Iliza and crew. Big fan and Unveiled has helped me get through wedding planning pre and post COVID. Anytime I start to get stressed out about it, I just rewatch Unveiled, and it makes me laugh and reminds me that the only thing that matters is that what my fiance and I want out of the day. We are at a month and a half out, October 10th, 2020. So now we're closer. And luckily, COVID hasn't really changed many of our plans due to the venue being outside and being amazing to work with. That being said, one of my bridesmaids had a wedding scheduled for February 2021, and they have canceled due to COVID. She hasn't made any comments about not participating in the bachelorette or wedding, but it's making me second guess our plan to plow on through despite COVID. And my worry is that she will back out at the last second. Tips on navigating this and or event planning in this crazy world. P.S. We booked the Asheville show for Veterans Day as a 1-month anniversary event. My FH, future husband, is an Army vet. Hope you get to do it. XOXO Elizabeth.
I'm definitely not getting to do it, so see you next year. I don't know where you live, but I'm assuming North Carolina. It's tough because living in LA, which is just a giant petri dish, our cases are crazy. New York City, the cases are crazy. And so, not unlike voting, it all affects, where you live. Affects your outlook on this stuff. If you really want to do this and it is outdoors, I would ask that your guests, if I were you, all get corona tests. The bachelorette party seems, I hate to say it, it's like a little selfish. If you're going out and you're interacting with other people, all it takes is just that one friend who, went out to eat and touched someone else and whatever. So I understand you wanting to do all this stuff. I understand if everybody promises to quarantine and you all have a bachelorette party at your house, like you all have a sleepover. But when you're involving other people and this is a pandemic, I just would take a serious look at the health of others. This isn't about you as a young, healthy person getting sick. This is about you go wine tasting, you touch, an older woman who hands you a bottle of wine, or you go out to eat, or you're drinking at a bar. These statistics are still very alive and well. So I would talk to your friend. I think getting tested is a great idea. Quarantining if you can, get the test, and then it can't be I get the test and then go out tomorrow. Like it takes 24 hours to incubate. So just get all the facts and just know that this is the reality that we live in. You seem a little bit more concerned with your friend not making it versus the fact that this could be something that potentially spreads. If you're going to like a lake party, just know it just takes one. So I would just be safe about it. I just got like my 4th corona test and I only did it for Emily.
Yeah.
Which I keep rubbing in. But it was free.
It was free. It's hard because I think you can maybe do the outdoor wedding, but to do the get together, I think that has to be later when things are safe.
You'll do an outdoor wedding. Everyone will go to the dance floor. They're all going up to the buffet. Like, are the people who are serving food, are they wearing PPE? I guess if you live in a place where there have been no cases, but Hawaii had like no cases and then it did. And you don't know where this will be in a couple months. So just survey it. At the very least, have all your bachelorettes, or whatever, your bridesmaids, get a corona test, and then please do something self-contained. Please don't go to a bar.
And right now...
And by the way, being outside doesn't cure it. It just makes it slightly less likely that you'll get it.
Yeah, get all the info about when you can cancel things. What are the deadlines for canceling venues without being penalized? Like, just have all your info so that you know, like, the drop dead date where you have to either cancel it or go ahead with it. Just have your info and keep an eye on the news, basically. Hi, Iliza. Just Iliza. No one else. Just kidding. Hugs and high fives to the whole crew. Emily, please read this in your best British accent. Okay.
Do it.
Female went out with...
She said best, not best old shrew who lives in a tree.
Went out with this guy a year ago and there was no chemistry, but we did actually stay friends. having gotten to know him as a friend, how kind he is, how much we actually have in common, and most importantly, how well he handles my weirdness. It still sounds old-timey.
It does. No, it just sounds old.
Why is it quaky? Like him now.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I honestly cannot tell what he thinks of me. I can't tell if he's just a nice guy or if I said something.
I can't focus on the question because your accent is so weird.
Read it normal. Okay, I female went out with this guy a year ago. There was no chemistry.
Is the guy a male?
Yeah.
Don't assume.
There was no chemistry, but we did actually stay friends. Having gotten to know him as a friend, how kind he is, how much we have in common.
As a mate.
And most importantly, how well he handles my weirdness. I legit like him now. I honestly cannot tell what he thinks of me. I can't tell if he's just a nice guy or if I said something he'd be into it, but maybe. Any tips on how to do this? No, I won't write a letter. I can't have written proof of something that could be horribly embarrassing.
They knew I was going to say write a letter. No, I won't.
Specifically would like to know how to make him make a move or give the heaviest hint that I can still pretend was nothing in case it doesn't go my way so as to preserve our friendship. Here's my question. Who decided to just, but there wasn't chemistry and they decided to stay friends. So what's changed?
No. There wasn't chemistry on your end. There is chemistry on his end, and men will hold on for years, just like grandpa, if there's a chance that your current husband dies of leukemia and you want to come around his way. Women will be like, I think he's gross, but oh my God, such a good friend. Men don't do that. He is hanging on, hoping that there's a chance. And you know what? It's cool that you broach it, because if you're really friends, he'll be like, I just don't feel that way. But I want to stay friends with you, just like you did to him. He is down. I'm telling you, nobody hangs out like that. And you know what? Further proof, I had a friend I spent a lot of time with. We hung out all the time. And when I got married, I noticed that he kind of stopped communicating with me, not in a mean way. And yes, it's less appropriate, even though I have plenty of male friends. But I have plenty of male friends who stuck around because we were truly friends. And that friend was like, peace out. So
yeah,
tell him how you feel, because I promise you he likes you.
Oh, let's not promise.
Well, what are they going to do? Sue me?
I don't know.
Just lost my baby.
Oh, boy. Hi, Iliza. I live in Israel, so please excuse me if I make any kind of mistake in this message. I'm 16 years old and I want to be a comedy writer. I already have some ideas for shows, but I was wondering how you approach writing a new act. Do you carry a notebook with you? Do you just write any funny thought you have, or does it have to be more specific? Thank you so much. My friends and I love your specials, and we hope to one day see you perform live.
Shalom. Well, don't you have to do like 2 years of military service?
In Israel?
Like
so Gal Gadot?
I would put off writing that act until you get through that. Or maybe it's about that. How do I write a new hour? Well, it's different. You want to be a writer. You don't want to do stand-up, right?
I just closed it. It was comedy.
Okay, look.
Wants to do comedy.
Here's what you need to know, since you're not a comedy writer and you're wanting to get into it. Always write what you know. And that is not proprietary advice. Everybody will tell you that. It's true, though. Write what you know. And you're in the unique position. Most people don't have military experience. I'm assuming you've done it or are going to do it. I don't know. Always write what you know. Never think for a second that your experience isn't unique. Okay? And don't assume that just because you're different than others that there isn't something relatable there. So I would write down in stand-up, when you start, you have like 5 minutes to differentiate yourself from other people in the lineup, which is why so many people, when they start, they talk about their immigrant parents or being a certain ethnicity or growing up in a certain household or why they're so weird at dating. You're trying to separate yourself from the other person in the lineup who may look like you and make yourself stand out. So maybe sit down. What's unique about your story? Are your parents weird? Is your mom a certain way? Did you grow up doing a certain thing? What makes you unique? What makes it funny or weird or sad? And go from there.
And you have a notebook, but because you do stand up, I don't know what you did when you start out, but you tend to work out stuff on stage. And then I think repetition is key. Like you're always getting out, doing your set when you can to lock it in.
But that's that's for stand up. And if you just want to be a writer, there are people who are more prolific writers than me, but for stand up, the key is getting up and throwing that shit against the wall over and over and over. Like I've said before, and like Emily said, I write on stage, meaning I don't sit at home and write on a computer. I might jot down a note. I carried books for years. My desks are filled with tiny, you don't have to get a Moleskine notebook. You can use a gum wrapper. I've used cocktail napkins, shreds of serial killer pieces of paper, jotting down stuff. Now we have our phones. I write down stuff in the phone. But you always want to because a good idea can come out of anywhere. I woke up, we had a lot of wine the other night, and I have I'm not going to say the joke because it's going to go on the act. At 4 a.m, I'm just in the living room talking into my phone. Noah's like, are you okay? I'm like, I just got to say this one thing about cake. You also have to not be lazy. Sometimes you're like, I'm so tired and you don't want to write it down. Salvador Dali, the Spanish painter, I think he would take like opium or something, but he would have a ball in his hand. And his claim was that he would get his best ideas as he was falling asleep. So he'd have this ball in his hand. And the idea was he would get in his idea and he would, as he's falling asleep, drop the ball. That would wake him up. He would remember the idea. Half the battle is just having the motivation to write down something.
Yeah.
Always keep a pen around. Always jot down your ideas. Put them all down in a document and get on stage and just work it and rework it over and over and over.
Yeah. All right. Time for Top of the Cob.
It's the top of the cob. You're doing it right every day. You just take a bite. Top of the cob.
Kick it. Well, obviously the bottom of the cob. Of course, look, I didn't know the baby. I didn't even know the sex of the baby. I didn't get a chance to bomb a small nation for my gender reveal party. For me, really, the bottom of the cob was the trauma of going through our healthcare system and how little anybody cared. And I had to find someone to be my advocate. But also my bottom of the cob is, what did I just write? Coffee.
Those 2 different sizes?
Coffee PPP. Oh, this is something else. Sorry, that's not it.
The 2 different sizes of the coffee?
Coffee PPP. Why did I write that? No. But coffee? App. Oh, it's an A.
Oh.
I ranted about this on my Instagram. Look, and I think I've said this before, my bottom of the cob is this new world now because of Corona where you need an app for everything. The food delivery apps are a pain in the ass. They're bad for the restaurant business. You shouldn't be Postmating a cup of coffee. You're a monster. That being said, if I'm in the car, I'm like, ooh, I want to grab a cup of coffee. I shouldn't have to entrust this like ghost company with my credit card information and personal info. Oh, sign in with Google so we know everyone you've ever talked to. It's a fucking cup of coffee. Like, I get that you don't want to handle cash. Let me tap my phone, which already has my info. I am never downloading the app. I'm not a Starbucks drinker, but I'll fucking drink it because they don't make me do an app. So not doing it. So that in 6 months you can have a data breach and be like, we lost all your info. Sorry, you're meaningless. Not happening. It's too much out there. As it is, I never sign up for stuff and somehow my email ends up on everything. It's just one more thing that one more piece of information we're blindly flinging into an abyss. Just download the app. Ugh, nightmare. No, you're not getting my business. Alfred.
Well, my bottom of the cup is that I had a really bad migraine on Labor Day and I just laid in the dark.
You did, and you were not cool on the phone.
Did we talk on the phone?
We were just texting, and I was like, "What? You had a bad vibe." I was like, "What's
I know.
wrong?"
I just peeled my eyes open to reply to you.
You're under no obligation to reply to me on the weekend.
Well, that's why I waited until I wasn't dying.
Oh, wow. My top of the cob at Starbucks. And again, I'm not a huge Starbucks drinker, and I'm not a huge sweet drink drinker. But after I left the doctor's office, and they're like, your fetus is not viable. I was like, well, I'm going to chug down more than my allotted 200 milligrams of coffee. For weeks, I took it so seriously, and I had 1 cup of coffee a day, and I took it very seriously. It had to be a special cup of coffee because it used to be I just drink whatever. Starbucks, I saw an ad for something called pumpkin cream cold brew, and it's delicious. It's cold brew, and there's this like thick layer. Korean coffee drinks do this. They do almost like a cream cheese layer, but it's got this creamy pumpkin spice layer, and it felt so good to drink it. And even though there's been a heat wave, I was like, sweater. And I saw this Instagram post that was like, pumpkin cream cold brew, 250 calories. Pumpkin cold foam cold brew, 70 calories. And I'm like, oh, somebody found an anorexic hack. Let me figure this out. So I went to Starbucks today after I denied Bluestone Lane my business because I didn't have an app. The guy was there. I was like, can I just pay you with a credit card? He's like, gotta do it through the app. And I was like, I'm going to Starbucks. Thank God there's one on every corner. Anyways, I showed the barista at Starbucks the Instagram post. I go, pumpkin cream cold brew, 250 calories. Pumpkin cold foam cold brew, 70 calories. I go, can you make me this one? He goes, I have no idea what that is. He's like, and I can't tell the difference. I guess I could just put no vanilla syrup. Who knows how it worked? I drank it. Was it as good? No. But do with that information what you will. But try that pumpkin cream cold brew for a tasty dessert because it was autumnal tastings.
My top of the cob is finding a new movie that I didn't know about that has someone I like in it and then enjoying it. I found a film on DVD that is not even on Rotten Tomatoes called Sexual Predator, originally named, I think, Last Cry, starring Angie Everhart and Richard Greco from what's that show with the 21 Jump Street, I think. He was like a big deal in the 80s. Great film.
Great film?
Fun film. I enjoyed it. She's like a cop and he does a crime and then she's in charge of it.
Your top and bottom of the cob can't always
I
be
think
like
finding a specific. I found this movie. No one else, like the internet, doesn't even really know about it, and I own the DVD of it.
Here's my impression of you. My top and bottom of the cobs are always the same. My cat, I don't feel well. Movie time.
But this is specific. Finding this movie that doesn't even exist on Rotten Tomatoes. So I keep an Excel document of every movie I've watched.
Totally normal.
And I put in what the Rotten Tomatoes score is and I put in my grade.
Real red letter day for you finding that, Jim.
But there was not a score. So I couldn't put it in my document. So I had to just put NA.
Okay. Well, I think the story I opened the podcast with is only slightly sadder than what you just said. You guys, I'm fine. We're fine. Everybody's healthy and happy. And we love that you're listening. Thanks for listening to the podcast today. This was Ask Iliza Anything. Why am I signing off? Like it's a radio program.
Okay, bye-bye.
Just click through the next episode.
They don't have a next episode.
The one before
yet.
it.
Okay.
It's time to have your high five moment with High Five Casino, the top social casino where the action and real prizes never stop. Fun spins and big wins are right at your fingertips with over 1,000 games, including High Five Casino exclusives. High Five Casino is always free to play with free coins given out every 4 hours. Sign up today for a free welcome offer that can get you spinning and winning right away. Visit highfivecasino.com.
High Five Casino.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.